Let me set up. Hang on. I guess I'm live. I had a request to go live, so here I am. Let me undo the power here and use it over here. I don't know. I'm going live? Okay, what for? I don't know. Let me check one thing, though. I have to reply to to somebody here. So yes, I'm going live. I'm going to go back to YouTube. William Williams. Hey, guys. So I really don't have anything for you tonight. I wasn't gonna go live, but somebody emailed me. That's fine. I moved logs I moved lumber around like all day. We did this musical chairs thing with all my stacks of lumber. Jamie Trotter, what's going on? So I'm tired from moving lumber around, that's for sure. What else is going on? Haven't heard from the tools guys, except they are going to get started tomorrow, I guess, of actually doing the tapping, and they should be done by Friday, which means that I'm kind of hoping for Friday to have tools in my hands. PA Dan. Dan, I heard you had a good time today. Was it today? Or was it yesterday? Bill Bills. Okay, Bill Bills. Got it. What saw to do tonight? Is there a debate? Is there options? Do you have options? What options? What options are we talking about? Can I help? Today was hybrid day at my place. Fantastic. I happen to have a advocate for my tools. Mike does tend to push the tools pretty hard. So did you get Dan? Did you get to see him today? Did Mike show him to you? He mentioned something about it, but I talked to him, but I was half asleep. Why is this leaning? That's a little straighter. Okay. 11 people. We're just talking. I don't have much to talk about today, guys. I'm sorry. I mean, I could come up with stuff, but Jamie, we have options. 372, 268, 200T, 440, or a 79cc Dolmar. Well, I can tell you, out of those, I am definitely the most familiar with the 372s and the 200Ts. So are they all projects you have sitting around? Patriots. Oh, Patriots and Packers tonight. Am I missing that? Maybe I have to go turn that on. I'm not even that big of a football fan, but that sounds like a good one. And a 661. Jamie, do you have my tools kit? Do you have my tools kit? The proper answer is yes, right? Or you're gonna be on the list, right? Yeah. Then you need a tools kit. If you don't have it, that's when you need it. It makes putting that 661 together a whole lot easier. Well, and pretty much anything else. What else? The 372, the 268, the 440 for sure. I don't know if it fits the Dolmar, but we can make it. If it doesn't, Ken, you got here. You have everything. Well, I thought. Nope, you don't. If you don't have my toolkit, then you don't got everything, and you're working. Let's put it this way: if you don't have my toolkit, then you're working too hard to put saws together. One, or number two, you're risking the bearings. So that's that. Is it worth me? Show me what tools kit. I will show you what tools kit. Sure. Is it worth me getting a crankshaft splitter? Or a case splitter? To split a crankshaft or a crankcase? What, Bill? Bill. Jamie, I will show you. You want to see? We'll show you. Demonstrated this plenty of times, but I have no problem doing it. Case splitter. Then yes, I think the Husky case splitters are not that much. After the shipping and all that stuff, the Husky case splitters are probably not that much more expensive than getting a Chinese one. If you can pick up a steel like on a Chinese case splitter, that's fine, but let me show you what I did with mine. So, Chinese case splitter. Let me move the camera down just a little bit so Jamie can see what's going on here. Is that enough? Not quite enough. Touch more. So I think it's worth getting a case splitter, and I've gone over this a million times, but we'll do it again, is that if you're taking a crankcase apart, you can do it basically one of two ways. You can use heat to do it. This is a 372 case, it's junk, but you can heat in here and then go kapop, and then the bearing comes out, but the bearing will still be left on the crankshaft most of the time. So you'll still need some type of a puller to get the bearing off that crankshaft. And Harbor Freight sells a great set of bearing pullers for like $40. It's pretty cheap. So I've used mine a lot, and they're well worth that kind of money. But if you get a case splitter like this, like a Husqvarna style crankcase splitter, then what happens is then the bearing stays in the case, and then you can tap it out later. You can either pull it out cold, or you can use heat and tap it out. So you're basically buying one of two tools, one or both of the tools anyway, if you're splitting crankcases. Alright, so this was not intended to be a case splitting video, but this is just okay how to get this off. But I will mention, if you get a Chinese splitter, which is what this is, what happens is the shaft here is way too small. So I put a piece of 5/8 rod in here, just retap this for regular old 5/8, was it 5/8 13 or something like that, I forget. And you just weld a nut on here, or you could, if you don't have a welder, just double nut it and then you can crank this down like crazy, and this is not going to bend. The stuff that I had before bent. So either get the OEM Husky splitter, which is much more stout, I think, or if you get the Chinese one, you may need to modify it with some threaded rod. Okay. So, Jamie, if you want to see crankcase installation tool, so I will show you. So if you were going to install this 372 case, you'll notice that I can't press that down. So, Jamie, pop quiz, how are you going to get this together? Or how would you put it together, rather? Yeah, you know, I like that. I like that case splitter. It works great. I've used it a number of times. Nothing wrong with the case splitter. You always heat the bearing and freeze the crankshaft. Well, Jamie, you're in luck today. There's no heating anything. There's no cooling anything. You know, you can put the bearings in the crankcase any way you want. If you want to put them in with heat, that's fine. But what you do is you position the bearings in the case first. Once the bearings are in the case, installed in the right spot, then you use my tools, which is very simple. So this is a piece of threaded rod. It just happens to be threaded at the right thread. This is M8 by 1 on this end. And you have to forgive me because the thread on the crank here is at least a little bit buggered. I may not be able to get that fully on, but that's okay. It's the thread on the crank that's buggered. I should fix that, shouldn't I? Just for the hell of it. And I had my demo set all ready to go, but I put it all away. So now I'm just fishing around for the stuff. Okay. So this is, if you have a relatively large saw, use the large sleeve. If you try to use a small sleeve on a big saw, it doesn't really work good because you're going to splay it out. But that's beside the point. Anyway, so here's what you do. Threaded rod, aluminum sleeve, very simple, nothing fancy. This is a handle. This is all this is, just a piece of, like, it's a bolt. Washer if you want, nut. The fact that this is sloppy doesn't matter, it's fine. And then you just take this and crank it down. You watching? Watch the crankcase go together. Now, what you're doing, now you'll notice I can stop in the middle, and there's no problem. I can stop. I don't have to worry about hot or cold differentials. There's no rush. Okay, whether you want to use sealer on the crankcase or not, that's up to you. I do, but you don't have to. Nice and easy. You know, this is not. You go easy. Now you'll notice that the Husky OEM tools that do this force you to use an open-ended wrench and hold one side and use an open-ended wrench, and that doesn't leave your other hand free. With the handle here, not my idea, Walt's idea. Thank you, Walt. But with the handle here, it allows you to use one hand for this. You could actually use a socket here or your ratchet. I got a ratcheting wrench, but effectively the same thing. You can use a socket or a ratcheting wrench. And it leaves this hand free to kind of guide everything to make sure the positioning pins are correct, all that. And that's it. Your crankcase is together. You reverse the whole chute. So there's no waiting, there's no torches, you know, no risk of fire, no torches, no waiting for something in the oven, no waiting for something in the freezer. And the pressure here is only on the inner race. The whole idea is that you want to pull the crankshaft through the inner race, and therefore you're not putting any lateral forces on the bearings at all. This is like the safest way to do it possible. You're gonna cause as little damage to the bearings as possible, as opposed to basically all the other methods. If you do the hot and cold thing, and let's say you heat up the bearing and you chill the crankshaft, then or you heat up the case and chill the bearing, whatever you're doing, what happens if it gets stuck? I've done that tons of times, and I can tell you that it gets stuck. And if it gets stuck, you're breaking out a hammer or using the case bolts to bring it home, anything like that. All of that is file under suboptimal. This is the most controlled way to do it, period. How's it going, Craig? So anyway, this is how to do this, and keep in mind, like, all this is junk in here. It's a junk crank, it's junk bearings, the cases are junk, but it does work for a demo. Questions? Jamie Price, I'll get to that. Give me 1 second to answer. Bill, cool. Could you pull and replace a bearing without splitting? How would you do that? Well, you can pull if okay. So if you're being really weird, I guess you can pull one of these halves off. With your splitter, you can split one of the halves off, like just the PTO side. You could split that, replace the bearing, and then pull that back on. Yeah, you could do that and just replace one side. That's possible, but you still have to clean off your case significantly. And by the time you do that, you might introduce debris anyway. So you might be better off just once it's split, for Pete's sake, split it and put new bearings and seals in. I don't know. You could certainly do it. I think you can. I mean, you could do that independent of the tools. The tools do help you for assembly purposes. It's much more controlled. Price. So okay. So Jamie, it depends on what you do and what you need. If you are working on 372s and 440s, if you're doing Husky and steel, and kind of all kinds. This is a 262. If you're doing all that stuff, that like a 268, you're doing a 268. That's perfect. So you need what I call the main kit. It's not the complete kit necessarily. It's the main kit. The main kit consists of, this is essentially a flywheel rod, so M10 and M8, and then 3 other rods, M10, M12, and M14, with they're double-ended rods. So you have all different types of, it's basically 6 different thread sizes, all for the clutch side. So a 372, for instance, is M14 by 1.25. Left-handed thread, of course. So you need M14 by 1.25, but like say the bigger steels use M14 by 1. So on the M14 rod you have both, right? On the M12 rod you have M12 by 1.25 and M12 by 1. One is mainly Husky, the other is steel. And the 262 over here, I think uses M10 by 1.5. Left hand, and then there's M10 by 1 for the smaller steels. Anyway, so basically that covers a lot of the saws that you would do. Typically, there's a few oddballs like the old 266 or the old 61 with that funny clutch side thread. I have a special rod for that. Your new 661, I have a special rod for that because that doesn't fit within the kit. The 661, actually, they changed to M13, and steel is not the only one guilty of that. Husky did that too with their 576. They went to M15, and I have a bitter story about that. But so I have all those specialty things. Those are in a side. But if you get a main kit, basically 4 rods, 2 different sleeves, all the nuts and handles that you need, is $170 shipped in the USA. If you want the 661, basically each additional rod is $30. So if you want your 661 rod included, then it's $200 shipped to the USA. And I have a all you have to do is email me. Let me put my email in here. Get rid of all the ampersands, obviously. Hey, David. Tomorrow morning, heading to the post office, buddy. I hope you're ready. And just so you know, I am going to put insurance on it, so you're going to have, there'll be plenty of insurance on it. That's more for me than for you, but whatever. So anyway, yeah, email me, Jamie, if you're interested, and I send you a form letter, and the form letter has all of that basically written out, all the options and whatnot. For you probably need a main kit plus a 661 rod, which incidentally, the other end of the 661 rod has the old 61, the Husky 266 and 61. So you can do a lot with just that. If you end up working with 880s, let me know. I do have an additional sleeve for the 880 that is 880 specific. So you can let me know if you need that. And if you work with 576s, that's an additional rod too, which is only a single ender. I do have those as well. But it's very, very, very flexible. The whole system was intended to be flexible, to be modifiable if need be. And hey, Leonard, are we gonna make? We need to make David do a review on this saw as soon as he gets it, right? I build for a living, so I need everything. Okay, Jamie. Jamie, I've been waiting months to get these built. I've had a hell of a time for years now getting these built. I had a really good guy doing the rods initially. When he was machining the rods, though, it just took so long, and it was sucking up all of his free time to get them done. So eventually we had another guy out in Ohio, guy whose name is Kelby, and Kelby was doing a great, he made these rods, and he did a great job. I haven't talked to him in nearly 5 months. He literally jumped off the planet. So I don't know whether he's on a bender, if he's in rehab, if he's in jail. I have no idea. I can't contact him. He's not returned any of my phone calls, text, emails, anything. So I don't know what's going on. He has my money, my taps, and my stuff. So that was like nearly 5 months ago now. So I've now putting more money up to get these produced again, but by more local people, and we'll see how they do. So far, from what I've seen, I think they're going to do great. So Jamie, if you need whatever, then let's talk. Email me. Happy to talk. If you get 80 saws personally, I suggest selling some of them, but sorry. I think I have a dozen, and I don't even really cut very much. I have half an acre and basically nothing to cut here, except I do have my sawmill, so I use the saws to cut cants off the mill. But other than that, I don't I don't have much use for them. But I still have them, and it's more habit than anything. So I understand the 80. I don't think I'll ever personally get there. I really have no intention of getting there, but yeah, I understand the 80. So Leonard, yes, we got to make David do a review. Yes. JC, have any plans, hopes of licensing OEM or otherwise, keeping it all in house? Well, JC, just so you know, this is not patented. I have no patent on this. This is basically a free design. If you guys want to go buy all the taps yourself and make these, go right ahead. What I think you'll find, what most people have found, is that it's such a pain actually making all of these that by the time you're done buying all the taps, waiting for the taps, all that other stuff, it just wasn't worth it. And the amount of money that you save in shop time by buying these is crazy. So I have one guy down in Georgia, Joe, who basically told me, he's like, you know what, using these, and he has all the OEM tools. He says using these actually makes rebuilds worth it. So I can't get a patent on these. This design is now public knowledge because it's on the internet. I really don't have a desire to get a patent on it. Uh, I don't foresee this becoming a bajillion dollar tool. It's just not. OEMs are not interested in it. I've been to plenty of shops and some very reputable shops that just don't care that I'm doing this because they don't do rebuilds. The OEMs don't want to be doing rebuilds. There's a reason the Chinese have a market today. Here, I'm talking down to you guys. Hang on a second. This is a fascinating topic, of course, but there's a reason why the Chinese actually have a market for parts in the first place, and it's because the main OEMs, Steel, Husky, are not in the parts business. They want to sell saws. They want to sell equipment. They don't want to be dealing in parts. So they've jacked the rates on the parts sky high, and that leaves room for the Chinese to come in and make them for cheap. For better or for worse, that's what happened. So, that's a function of their own making, and they're just not. They've jacked $40 for a bearing because they have to have proprietary bearings. This is a real big pet peeve of mine. $40 for a bearing. By the time you do all the math and everything, most salesmen show you the new saw rack instead of saying, "Hey, let's get this rebuilt." The parts, the OEM parts, are priced outside the realm of rebuilds. They just are. So the local shops don't need the tools. They just don't. And I can promise you this: if I walked into Steel and said, "Here, I have a better tool set than you do," they'd laugh me silly. You can't do that. So there's no point. So I'll sell a few of them. I figure maybe there's demand for 1,000 units worldwide, but the price, 170 for the main kit shipped is actually an excellent price for what you get, but it still puts it slightly outside the realm of a lot of hobbyists. So it's a very hard dance. It really is. John Lean, how's it going? William Eisen, I got your email, so I'm on. So yeah, so right now I'm going to keep it all in-house in the sense of I'm going to try to produce these and distribute these myself. Um, if anybody wants to make their own, there's no hard feelings. But I can also tell you that it probably isn't going to pay you to do that. William, I'm thinking about rebuilding for a saw. I have a good friend whose saw cannot get to run properly. I think it'd be a steel for a seal or bearings going out. I forget what brand and size it is. Okay. Husqvarna Sharp throws blown saws in the dumpster. Yeah, I know. The shop down the road. I've gone in there and be like, "Hey, do you have any blown up saws?" And they're like, "Yeah, they're not worth anything. We throw them out." Like, wait a minute, what? Oh yeah, they're not worth anything. So I'm like, so what you're saying is there's no parts on there that are worth anything. They're like, yeah, that's right. I can't get around that. I just can't get my brain around that. You might order the parts from me. Jamie, you sent me an email. Great. And Roger Robinson, former TBGH, email sent. Fantastic. I will check my email. Actually, here, I can. It says two, but I bet I have more emails. Thanks, guys. Yeah, William, I don't sell parts. Just so you know, I'm not a parts distributor. If you want to give me credit, then on a lot of my main chainsaw videos, if you look in the description of the video, is a link to HL Supply. If you click on that and then buy parts from HL Supply, then I get credit for it. But you have to click on the link that's in the description of my main chainsaw video. So if you go to if it's a 372 and you go to one of my 372 videos, there'll be a link in the description that says buy from these guys. You click on HL Supply. Whatever you buy, I get credit for. So don't buy from them if it makes sense for you. That's fine. I appreciate it if you click on the link. Um, yeah. HL Supply has been good to me. Uh, they're actually starting to carry a lot more Husky OEM parts now. They have the aftermarket stuff if you want that. They have the OEM stuff if you want that. Some of the aftermarket stuff is fine. Some of it's not. Uh, like Walt says, the aftermarket is always a moving target. So some of it works great and others doesn't. So I've now become a huge fan of the Sujihara bars. I do like them a lot. They are technically an aftermarket bar. Totals, Samuras, Sujiharas, Canon, all that technically is aftermarket. Are they all good bars? Sure they are. So is the Husky OEM bar bad? No, it's not. Oregon Power Matches I've used for a while and they seem to work fine for me. I think I like the Sujiharas better, mainly because they look cool and they're lighter, but it is better steel. William, you're very welcome. Yeah, when I was doing all the editing and whatnot, that just took up so much time. And I'll tell you what, I'm getting a huge kick of doing this, live stuff. It's just so much more fun to talk to you guys rather than me just sitting in front of a computer and editing all day, which is what it took me. I just have to get ambition up to do the editing and whatnot. It was just such a pain. Now I can come on, I can chat with you guys if you have questions, and we can just take care of it right there, and we're done. And then everybody's much more satisfied, I think. Ken, can't figure out my 455 doesn't run right. Chinese parts have been a big help. I replaced everything, so I'm trying to figure out what's wrong with it. Yeah, sometimes the Chinese parts help because you can, play a little part, what I call parts darts, and throw a few parts at it. Ken, if you can't get it to run right, just tear the whole darn thing down. I've got videos on that. You can tear the whole 455 down. Don't feel bad about doing that. Throw some new seals at it and a brand new OEM carburetor, which would, having a nice, fresh, brand new OEM carburetor, saws just run a whole lot better, I think. One of the things about the 455 is that I don't think Meteor makes a piston for that. I haven't rebuilt one in a while. So you're dealing with, the really low end of the aftermarket for aftermarket pistons, or you're dealing with OEM, which can be kind of pricey. So I'll let you decide what you want to do there. Don't hurt so bad to cook cheap parts. There's no question about it. And if you wreck one, so what? Yeah. It always has bubbles in the fuel line? How can you know that it has bubbles in the fuel line? The fuel lines are not clear. Yeah, the yellow Tygon lines. Nah, ugh, ugh. Tygon, yeah. Yeah. I don't know. For the 455. I'd use the OEM line, or if the steel R3 fits, then probably use the steel R3. Just because, well, here I forget if the 455 has a molded line or not. I forget, so forgive me. It's in my video somewhere. But you can buy steel fuel line. The downside to this is it's not quite as flexy as the OEM curly Qs. I just hate paying $6 a shot for OEM curly Qs when you can get steel R3 in bulk for $1 a line effectively. Come on. So this is steel R3. You can get it at the steel dealer, and you get it in a roll. I forget how many feet is in it, or meters, or whatever it is. I think it's like a 10-meter roll, 30 feet, 33 feet, whatever it is. If I can't get the saw back together, can I send it to you and you can put it together online? Yes. But it's going to be expensive. You know, just shipping it to me, assuming I did the job for free, and I'm not cheap, but assuming I did the job for free, it's going to cost you, what, $40 each way to ship it? Did you check did you get a compression check? A check valve. Ken, what are you talking about a check valve? You mean the tank vent? The tank vent, if it's clogged, and I have had it, but the tank vent will starve a saw after a few minutes of running. It's not going to be an immediate thing. And one of the best ways to diagnose a tank vent that's somehow plugged is if it stops running like 5 minutes in, it just wants to starve for fuel and doesn't want to run. Open the tank, undo the fuel, right, cap, put the fuel cap back on, and see if it restarts. And if it restarts, then it means that there was effectively a vapor lock in there. You were trying to pull suction and it couldn't, in which case then you replace the tank vent. But if it's not that, then something else. The carburetor is trying to pull a vacuum, right? So the tank vent needs to let air in. Simply. William, I don't mind doing it. You know, if you got a commission build, I mean, let's do it. But a 455 Rancher usually isn't worth the effort. You know, it's the saw I learned on. I've taken part a dozen of them, but I haven't done it in a while. But at the end of the day, you know, usually on Craigslist you could find one that's in decent shape for $250. So you have to start saying, okay, I can get one that's in reasonable shape for $250. If it's going to cost $40 each way, you know, even let's call it $30. If it's $30 each way, that's $60 that you're going to, you know, subtract from 250. So then you have 190 to work with. And if I'm going to charge you to rebuild the thing, you're going to eat up a whole lot of that 190. So then you have to add parts into it and all that other stuff that we might need, you know, seals, rubber, whatever it might be, incidentals. There's all kinds of little stuff maybe that go into that. It probably isn't worth it for me to do the rebuild. It is worth it for you to do the rebuild. That's why I have videos online. If I can give you guys a little bit of ambition, then it's a good thing. Yeah, if you replace that carburetor without replacing the filter, the fuel filter, eh. So replace the fuel filter. Just make it all fresh, you know? 25 people watching just for chatting. How's it going, guys? Yeah, it'd be a good chunk. And that, Larry, it's probably pretty close. You probably have to say, okay, am I going to touch a saw that is going to be less than $300 to fix? Probably not. So then you have to say, all right, what's the saw worth in the end? If it's a 372 and they're $800 new or whatever they are, and then it's worth putting $300 into, assuming it's only $300, which it usually isn't. But it's worth putting 300, 400, maybe even 500 into it. If you had a real crunch, you might question the 500, but 300 or 400 you can justify sticking into it if it makes it all nice and fresh. Samuel A. Hi, Matt. I am one of them. One of them who? Is that Sammy? Just turned one away because there was, I think, my throwaway saws. Good job, Larry. Turn them away. What's going on, Sammy? How you feeling, buddy? You okay? Tell me that 346 runs. Please tell me that 346 runs. 450 in the 576 XP build. Yeah. Well, how much is a new 576 today? $900? Musty one lives near you, in Connecticut. Sammy, make sure to give me a good report on that, okay? I hope that runs really good for you. I really do. Somewhere in our emails there from a long time ago was a hopefully a breakdown of everything that I did, but that thing is pretty fresh in there. Should be good. Musty one lives in New Hampshire, not remotely close to me, in my opinion. I know that everybody thinks that these are tiny states up here, but New Hampshire is like 4 hours away, so no. For those people that are new here watching, you're welcome to ask questions. I'm just hanging out. I don't. I One of the subscribers, I won't mention your name, William, but one of the subscribers emailed me and said, "Are you coming on tonight?" And the answer is, "I guess so." So I'm here, but there's nothing on the agenda tonight because I'm waiting on parts, and I hope tomorrow I can get those little washers for the blower, and then tomorrow night we can do the blower. And Friday I'll have new tools, so we'll be able to do the 262. Hopefully. Also, Friday is going to be busy. If I actually have the tools in my hands on Friday, then I'm going to be sending out emails to everybody that's on the list for the tools. And whoever pays me, I'm going to be stuffing envelopes as soon as I possibly can. John Lane, most of my hobbies are never cost effective. Saw builds can be frustrating, very rewarding. Thanks for enjoy the live chats, Matt. I'm enjoying it too, John. But it's a good. John makes a good point, and that's: are you doing this effectively to be cost effective, or are you doing this for fun? One of the reasons that a lot of these Chinese chainsaw kits are getting sold, I think, is because it really doesn't have anything to do with being cost effective. Maybe it does for some people, but maybe it's more an interesting thing to do. We've never had a chainsaw kit on the planet until what, last year? The year before, whatever it was? And it's not really a kit, it's just a complete pile of saws technically. So, but we've never had that. This is brand new. And that's interesting and intriguing to many people. Whether the quality is there or not almost is irrelevant, because you get to put something together that's as complex as a chainsaw, and then it even has some prayer of running. That's an incredible concept. It really is. Um, this is more complex than pretty much any Erector or Lego set you could possibly have. I can get a Pinty for $100 with a coupon. That's just nuts. What's a Pinty? Anyway, if anybody wants to chat, I mean, you're more than welcome to ask questions or anything. A jigsaw puzzle with no instructions. Yeah, that's what that is. Okay. Steel knockoff. Got it. Morley Brew, college jigsaw puzzle for real men. But it's not even that much of a puzzle. Now it's not that much of a puzzle because you've got my videos. You guys, if you want to cheat, use my videos. And remember, my videos were done from the not from the perspective of a seasoned pro, but from the perspective of somebody that really is sometimes doing this for the first time. So, like the 440 that I went through, I was literally building that for the first time. It was literally me imagining what it might be and taking a really fresh approach to it, which is really where most people come at it. They're, these guys that are pros are probably not putting together Chinese 440s. They're putting together the genuine article and, getting to, handing them to tree services or whatever. It's mostly the amateurs that are doing it that are really having, the hobbyists that are doing it for fun as a jigsaw puzzle, if you will, as opposed to trying to get something that's cost effective. Really depends on what you're going for. Kyroy, what's going on? Ken, behold the Pinty. Greg Beeman. Thoughts on the best first kit saw? The only Chinese cylinders I'd buy would be Highway. Chinese Highway is not Chinese. It's Taiwan. Just so you know, Larry. And Greg Beeman, thoughts on the first kit saw? 660. Just because it's the best bang for buck. It's pretty well documented what that needs to be a solid saw. You can put it together as is in the kit. That's fine, but a lot of this stuff has weaknesses to it. So Walt's done a pretty good job of figuring out what stuff you really should replace on it. But it depends, it depends on what you're going for. Are you going for ease of put together? Are you going for bang for buck for power? I would probably say the 660 for bang for buck for power. There's no question about that. It's solid saw. Once you get it up and running, you're gonna have a potent saw. A close second would probably be the 372 clone. That'd probably be a close second. Just because I've done a million 372s and it really is pretty straightforward to put together. What about the 090? I don't know yet. Their 070 kit saw, which you can just throw the 090 top end on if you want. I have not messed with that. I have no need to mess with that. Really, you're going after an 070 or 090 for either novelty purposes or if you're going to be milling with it. And either don't necessarily interest me. So if somebody wants me to do one for them, we can talk. If you want to do a commission build, that's fine. But I would be coming at it super fresh, uh, super green and super fresh. Roger, reliability issues don't bother me. Gives you yeah, I'm that way with my mower. My neighbor gets on to me all the time. What are you running over that for? You're gonna break your mower. I'm like, yeah, well, I enjoy fixing things. Roger, just so you know, some stuff you don't want to take chances with. I really think that wrist pin and wrist pin bearing, I would get those OEM like for sure, and consider getting a Meteor piston too, as opposed to the one that it comes with. If you want to use the stock cylinder head, that's fine, but it's going to need some work right off the bat. So, does anybody watch The Walking Dead? I don't. Never got into it. I know that people are into it, but I never got into it. People use the big saws out here. Biggest saw that I need is a 394. Can take down any tree in Connecticut with that thing. There's no need for a bigger saw for me. And I use them for milling, for chainsaw milling if I really have to. And I've definitely done enough of that to know that I don't want to do any more of that. 24 people here chatting. That's fantastic. Ken, if you could only own one saw, what would it be? Probably a 394. If I have to choose, it's either the Husky 350s or the 394s. One or the other. Usually I lean to a 394. But that's. But I love my 394s. For some dumb reason, my hand has been grabbing the 660 lately. My one, I have a 660 clone. I have how many? I have four 394s in the shed. It's mainly because I have a bar on the 660 clone. I don't have bars on the 394s. Husqvarna makes one saw bigger than three. It's the 3120. Yep, and I've run the 3120 and it's great. Still like my 394. Love chainsawing, best movie ever. Okay, whatever you say, Leonard. You don't own a 3120, Larry? I don't think there's really a need. Again, unless novelty. 24 people here. T-shirts, tools. What do you guys want me to talk about? I have a few T-shirts left, not too many. I will need to get another batch. Actually, maybe I know there are guys that want the 2XL, 3XL, even 4XLs. I don't have those. I don't even know. Mastermind. I sent some down to him, and he was supposed to send me them back because he didn't sell them at the get together, but his mom had health issues or something like that. I think she passed, and so Mastermind has been preoccupied. So I've not gotten the shirts back from him. There's a few that I'm waiting on to get back. But is anybody interested in the as is T-shirts? Let me know. Leonard, I've got a 395 Husky. What do you think of them? The 395s are good. I tend to prefer the 394s mainly because of the intake block versus the intake boot. I know that that's a big debate. 394s have an intake block, 395s have an intake boot. Um, I tend to like the idea of the block better. That's just me. weather. We're getting more rain tomorrow, I think. It was a nice day today. I was outside most of the day moving lumber around. Nice day. Two XL and a pocket tee. I don't pocket tee. Maybe I can this next round I can have them put my logo on the pocket. If that would be cool, and then I'll just get a few of those. Craig and William, do me a favor, email me that. I'm gonna put my email here in again. And then I'll put you on a list for t-shirts because I just don't know when I'm going to order again. I'm not making any money on the t-shirts, and they're still like $20 a shot plus shipping. So they're right now there's like hardly any demand for them, so I can't order 1,000 of them and be sure that I'm going to sell them, you know. John, if you want to add a 394, I'm building one up. Or at least I'm in process. If you want, I can build this as a commission build for you. Poured it in the whole chute. Just let me know. What do the numbers mean on the saw? How many cc's? It depends on the saw. I'm pretty convinced that the Steel 660 is like 85 cc's. The 660 is basically meaningless. I have not found an actual meaning to the numbers on a steel. Maybe it's 6 cube instead of... I don't know. I don't know. Doesn't make any sense to me. On the Huskies, usually like a 372 is the third series saw, and as opposed to a 272, which is a second series saw, and then the CC, which is 72 cc. That's supposed to be the way that it is. 394 should be 94 cc's. 395 would be 95 cc's. I don't think it's quite like that, but whatever. But it does. And actually, technically, a 395 should actually be a 495 because although the chassis is the same, there's a few other differences: the different head, different flywheel, different carburetor, intake boot, all that stuff should probably be a 495 instead of a 395. But anyway. What pump? Okay, need something to carry my eyes in? What are you talking about, Craig? What pump vacuum do you use testing? I use the Minivac 8500. Briefly describe why you're not a fan of chainsaw milling. It's hot. It's dirty. It takes friggin' forever. I've had cuts that take 2 tanks of fuel with my 394. 40 minutes long of a cut. And then something goes wrong. The dang jig comes loose or something like that, and you got to start all over. Or you hit a nail midway. I've done that. I hit there's a screw or something like that I hit midway, and ended up going both ways on this thing and hit it both directions, and dulled the chain immediately. It was awful. And you're sitting there sharpening. If you're doing dimensional lumber, a relatively inexpensive bandsaw mill will far outperform a chainsaw mill any day of the week. And it doesn't matter what power head you stick on it. So my bandsaw mill is only 9.5 horse, but it's a 1/8 kerf. So if a chainsaw is like a 3/8 kerf, and it's actually more than that, the kerf is like 3/8 of an inch. That's equivalent to having a bandsaw mill at 9.5 horse is like 27 horse chainsaw. Right? So even a double-ended 660 is still not the juice that a bandsaw mill is. For dimensional lumber, if you are slabbing, that is a different ball game. But if you're doing dimensional lumber, you're actually looking for beams, 2x4s, 2x12s, whatever it is. If you're looking for dimensional lumber, a bandsaw mill is the ticket. And since Harbor Freight sells theirs for like $2,000, it's pretty inexpensive to get into. I don't necessarily recommend the Harbor Freight mill, but it's probably a whole lot better than a 394 with a bar, with a 24-inch bar or something like that, and you're just trying to make dimensional lumber. Yeah. Okay, hang on. What does porting mean? Ooh, that's a long topic. Porting means that you are grinding on the cylinder head internally to hopefully get more power out of it. Widening the exhaust, smoothing transfers, adjusting the timing on the transfers, grinding them higher or whatever, um, adjusting the height of the cylinder head relative to the top of the piston, all that stuff for porting. Basically, you're going for more power most of the time. Can you buy aftermarket parts for an Echo chainsaws? Brandon, I don't know. I have not tried buying a whole lot of Echo parts. The only ones that I think I bought for the Echo CS 400, was it a 400 that I did? But I think I got a complete crankcase off of eBay. I don't remember buying parts otherwise. Forgive me, I just don't remember. 60 is 91.6 cc's. Okay. This porting can give more horsepower. That's the idea, yes. Change out the Chinese fuel and oil lines, guaranteed to fail. The fuel lines I've found to really be not the best, especially like in the 372s. So for sure, change out the fuel line and the impulse line too. On my Chinese 660, I think the fuel line's okay. The oil line seems to be all right. But I know other people have had trouble, so definitely those are in question. Chinese rubber is not the best. Do I know anything about the Steel 500i? No. But yes, it is fuel injected. I do know that. I don't know when it's coming to the States or whatever. Kara, if you're going to use it, if you're slabbing, then and you're out in the woods, then portability is your friend, which means a chainsaw mill is the ticket. If you're not in the woods, if you're on your own property and you have a method of moving logs around and can dump them on a sawmill, or just you want to get a trailered sawmill, get a sawmill. You know, an 084 is going to cost you what, a grand? The bar, the adapters, all that stuff. You're probably $1,200, maybe more into that setup. Then you figure the chains and the fuel that you're going to run and the time. You're going to eat up a few grand easy. And my sawmill from Woodland Mills, and I do recommend Woodland Mills if you're getting a bang for buck. I don't think there's better. I think Woodland Mills makes great sawmills for the money. And you're talking like, I think it's under 4 grand. If you wanted it, the trailer package, all that stuff, then you keep adding, there. But it's not gonna cost you terribly. And when you get one, oh man, you're gonna have so much fun. It's so much fun. Just hang out on a chainsaw mill for 20 minutes and then realize how really unfun it is. Some people love it. That's great. Ugh. Sammy, you gotta go. Good night. Good night, Sammy. Take care. Okay. Run the heck out of that 346 tomorrow and let me know how it goes. Right. The 084 is a hot saw to have now. Um, if you have that, so I mean, I don't much see a point to it, but I know a lot of people love their 084s. So if you have the saw and you have use for, you want a 42-inch wide cut, then you have to use a chainsaw. You don't have really much choice there, um, unless you build a completely insane bandsaw mill. Even the wood misers only cut like, even the wide ones only cut like 35 wide. So, and you're going to spend, I think, 15 grand on something like that. So if you want a wide cut, then a chainsaw mill is where it's going to be at, but it's going to take you a long time to make that cut. You're going to be hanging out there for a while. You need ideally a respirator, a full face mask, respirator. Good idea. I still have 25 watch. Yeah, glad it came out. Yeah, it's all you, William. Thank you. Good night, John. Go dumpster diving. Have fun. Let me know if you want me to work on that 394 for you. You know you want it. Beer Ghost. Ported chainsaws are just a fad. Yeah. Mastermind said that too. And he makes a living on it. I don't make a living on it. I'm actually possibly going to be talking contracts tomorrow with the new job. So you're welcome, John. Any other questions, comments before I decide to take off? It's 9:16 here, but it's actually 10:16 because of stupid daylight savings. So, what chainsaw is best, Steel, Husqvarna, or Echo? Um, Depends on the model. Some models I like, other models I don't. Some I tend to like Husqvarna more than Steel, but that doesn't mean that Steel doesn't have some good ideas and some good designs. Um, I work on the saws that I like to work on. I don't work on the saws that are annoying to work on. Yep, and in general, the Huskies tend to be easier to take apart, but that's just a sense that I get. And I've learned more tonight than doing 3 months of research online. Need a beer now. Go get a beer. Ken, one of the things that I guess I'm trying to go for with the channel is that I read online on the forums basically almost every hour of every day for years. And so I've tried to create a YouTube channel that's a repository of all of that knowledge. And that doesn't mean that it's all correct. It just means that I'm trying to make it all correct and I'm trying to make it complete. Um, and I hope that that helps some people. I really hope that I'm giving good information rather than bad. But if I find that I'm giving bad information, I'm going to be honest with you guys and be like, holy crap, this is a bad idea. You know, you get the idea. Can you support the steals from 024 to 661 with your tools? Yes. The 661 is a little odd, but yes. I have a 661 specific rod, but my tools are ideally suited to support that line. Actually, and they'll do 084s and 088s too. There's a little bit of weirdness with the sleeve, but I have a workaround on that, no problem. So yeah, Beer Ghost. Oh yeah, and they do all of that, and they also do the Husky line at the same time. William, does your dad miss you at his workplace? Probably. Uh, and there's a great part of me that misses it too. But it was time to move on for all kinds of different reasons. Believe me, this was not a simple decision. My entire life was focused on one thing, and that was working with dad and helping dad. That's my entire life, the whole thing. and that all came to a screeching halt in August. So I've really had to adjust everything that I'm doing, and I've got a little bit of a taste of retirement right now, and I like it. But this is not a sustainable lifestyle for me. So I'm going to enter into a contract, or I'm going to enter into talks tomorrow and see where it goes. William, yes, I've heard of McCulloch. Leonard has a 125 Super Pro. That's cool. I know that the old stuff is cool, but it's not me. Um, it, the old 797s and 125s. I mean, these are cult classic saws. For me, the biggest thing I need is a 394. RC fabrication. Have a 372 puzzle. Anywhere documents bolt screw identification. No. But what you can do is go to my YouTube channel, and I have a bolt for bolt through a 372 kit saw. So, and I try to describe the bolts as good as possible so that you know what goes where. How many subs does Buck and Billy Ray have now? Like 33,000. He's crazy. Good for him. He's much more entertaining to watch than I am, but that's okay. I'm okay with that. Eager Beaver. Most eager beavers make it into the trash can, as far as I know. Ken can't find parts for some saws. Yuck. Well, Ken, those are one of the big reasons I run saws that I run is because I can get parts for them. They're easy to service, and I can get parts for them. My preference. If you're a collector, different story. Different story. Cowroy, take care. If you want to contact me, email me, whatever. Take care, okay, buddy. Bet it was hard to leave. Wish you the best for now. Thanks, William. Yeah, I that was definitely one of the hardest things I've ever done. Your sister's in love with Buck and Billy Ray, huh, Ken? Oh dear. Some girls have it bad, huh? Thanks, Leonard. Appreciate it. I like yours better. Just say it. Well, here, at least for now, we get to hang out. We get to talk a little bit. You can ask my opinion on things, and often it's just opinion, and that's fine. Greg, good seeing you. Yeah, shoot me an email. Just remind me about what you need, okay? I'll get you on a list. Leonard kills me. If you need help with the bolt for bolt, find good Husky parts. Exactly what size goes where. You know what? I think replacement parts might actually have bolt sizes. Sometimes they'll be like M5 by 8 by 20 millimeter or whatever in some spots. But if you want bolt for bolt, you can go to my channel and actually see me do it. And usually I'll describe what type of bolt it is and where it goes. So you don't say Gullah a lot. I'm okay with that. William, I think I got your email on the shirt, and I think you're on that list. I haven't placed an order for big shirts yet. I know that some guys need bigger shirts. And by the way, you won't hear me say gullet a lot because well, Bucket already does. So I don't need to go over chain sharpening and oil. I don't need to be that guy that describes how to sharpen a chain or describes what oil ratio to use, what type of oil. I do what works for me. You guys do what works for you. That's fine. And you can do your research elsewhere. And I don't want to have anything to do with that. The grip right screws are not standard anywhere. Yeah, there's a lot of proprietary screws and bolts and things, which is just annoying, but whatever. That's the way it is. Yeah, everybody's different, Leonard. That's Buckin has 33,000 subscribers because he's fun to watch. And he's going to be controversial on some things that he says, probably, but he's fun to watch. Oh, good for him. John Riley's been posting up some cool stuff too. I don't know if he's on right now, but John Riley's been posting up some cool stuff, some really neat, nifty little tips and tricks. And sometimes the videos are like 2 minutes, which is really easy to watch, and it's a nifty tip or trick or whatever. And that's great too. Still have 22 people watching. I have emails right now. I see Jamie and Roger. Beer goes, after building a China 660, you never build another, better off buying an OEM rebuilder. It's a fine point. It really is. Actually, I think the point is much more valid on probably these 200Ts. Um, just a thought. But the nice thing about doing the Chinese kits is that they're all clean. You don't have to deal with all the grime and the whatnot that are on these old things, and all the randomness that there's plenty of randomness here. Could be cracks and whatnot we might not see. The Chinese cases need work. The Chinese cylinders need work. What's the difference? Okay, so is there really that much of a price difference if you buy a 660 builder? I don't know. Another thing you run into is if you're trying to get an OEM builder, some builder saws people want a pile of gold for, and they're not worth it. A lot of these guys have a lot of hard time finding builder saws, donor saws, because everybody thinks they're sitting on a pile of gold. It might be worth $50, but it ain't worth a whole lot more than that. So the Chinese saws are much more accessible in that way. Not everybody has a dumpster behind a steel dealer that they can go raid every once in a while. Take care, Ken. RC Fab, download the 372 oil and do a Google search of the Husky part number. Sometimes calls out the actual screw and type of size. Ken, I was just saying that I usually give the size and whatnot on a 372. I usually do it. Not every time, but on my build videos I usually do. I'm just sitting here going, why in the world? This is a junk case. This was for demo purposes for my 372. I was demoing the tools on this 372 case. Junk case. There's actually a 371, and I still have the tensioner in here. I was just thinking, what if somebody needs a tensioner? I have one right there. Cool. Yep. Tell him he can keep it for $800. $300 sounds a whole lot better to me, Larry. What are they worth fully rebuilt? $1,000? New bearings, new seals. Worth $1,000 maybe? Maybe new piston. Not worth $800. Let them keep it. Right, 1,700, but that's with the warranty. Two for 1,700. One runs good, the other has a knock. Right, and warranty and bar and chain, yeah. I'm tired from moving wood around. Ken, you should see the backyard now. I moved a whole bunch of the lumber around. Much more open. I actually have a backyard again. $22 people hanging out. 9:30. Actually, I don't even know. How's the battery on this thing? Battery power low. I'm gonna lose the battery any second, guys. So I better go. I'm gonna lose the battery on this phone any second. So I'll just say good night to everybody and say thank you very much. You did firewood. Good. Today's weather meant leaf cleanup. Yes, we did a lot of that. Night, guys. I'm gonna lose my battery. Thank you so much. I'll be on tomorrow night, hopefully to do a blower. And if anybody wants to email me, they can email me about tools or t-shirts. Smallest chainsaws I own, MS-150 TCE from that my dad and I co-own technically. Steel MS-150 TCE. What's that, like 22 cc's? It's tiny. Anyway, I'm gonna go. Thanks everybody. We'll continue this tomorrow. Okay, take care. Be safe.